Hi, my name is Amanda White, and I'm 37 years old. I've lived in Maysville, Kentucky for the past 15 years. I am a mommy to three beautiful children. Lucas is 9, Landon just turned 7 yesterday, and Lily Grace is our spunky little 3-year-old. I married my college sweetheart straight out of Morehead State, and we've been married happily for the past 15 years. Some of my favorite hobbies include hiking, I love acting, and I love public speaking. I've always gone to church. Growing up, my parents didn't always feel comfortable in the church that was near our community, so some Sundays they would simply just drop me off at the church doors, and I was welcomed in with open arms. When I was 16, I was baptized because 16 years old was the age that everyone was baptized in our church. I'd always welcomed and accepted Christ into my heart, so making that decision was not a hard one for me to do, and I happily agreed. When I went to college, finding a church wasn't always so easy. Being an outsider, it was hard finding the right place to fit in. So most Sundays, I skipped church unless I went home, and then I always went back to the same church I'd always gone to. When Tony and I decided to have children, we knew that we wanted to raise our children in the church. When I became pregnant with Lucas, the Jacks were brought into our lives, and we started going to church. We have been with Crosspoint since we launched that very first Sunday years ago. I always knew that God loved me, and I've always loved God with all of my heart. But it wasn't until 5 years ago today that I really learned what God's love truly was. 5 years ago today, I was set on a journey of depression, anger, jealousy, rage. It was a journey that I didn't think that I would ever come back from. And some days, it's still amazing that I did. 5 years ago today, on November 4th, 2013, we found out that our third child, the child we had prayed so hard for, we had lost. The pain of that, I may have been able to come back from. But in the span of the next 16 months, I would lose my father, then my grandmother, and ultimately my mother would pass as well. It seemed like every time I was getting up from a wave, another one would crash over my head. I put a smile on my face, I went to work, I came to church, I tried to pretend like everything was okay, but in my heart, I was broken. Pieces of me lay shattered everywhere, and I just didn't know how to pick them back up. I prayed fervently for God to fix me, to take the pieces of my broken heart and put them back in one place. And I'd felt day after day like it just wasn't happening. I seen everybody else with their happy families, and I just wanted that so much for myself. I had always vowed that I would never be mad at God, because how could I be? He had blessed me with so much. But one night, in a fit of rage, I screamed out, asking him why he had taken everything from me, and where was my happy ending? And it was at that moment that these memories came flooding through my mind. You see, God had never left me. He had been with me the whole time. God was with me in this church. From the people who came to my house to hold my hand when I couldn't breathe and the anxiety had taken me over. From the ones who brought meals to my house because I simply couldn't get up and cook anymore. The ones who held my hand when I had my first ultrasound with Lily because I was certain I was going to lose her too. This church never left me. God was in this church, and God was always with me. It was at that moment that I completely understood that God would leave the 99 for the one, because God left him for me, and he never left my side. I had no reason to ever be angry at my God, but he showed me that moment right then and right there that I was the one that he would leave the others for. I think the biggest way that I've changed is that I'm not afraid of who I am anymore. God gave me this church, God gave me my faith, so I'm not afraid of showing my darkest times. My anxiety is the depression. It's all a part of me. And those struggles, they're just as important as my victories, and I won't be ashamed of them anymore. God brought me to this, and he brought me through this, so I can help others. And that's exactly what I've spent the last couple of years trying to do as my journey's been going through. I'm not perfect, and I'm okay with that. I am absolutely fine with who I am and who God made me. And I think that because of the journey that I went through, I'm going to be able to help others. And that's my goal. My goal in life is if I can just find one person who's struggling like I am and like I was, if I can find them and I can help them, then God gave me the power to do that. And I want to be baptized today to show the entire world that I want to be a passionate follower of Christ.